And I'm going to start with a little meditation. And tonight's meditation is about the heart. And because of that, I brought down my alchemy crystal bowl that is rose quartz and platinum? Yes, platinum and rose quartz. So I'm going to just sound it for you so you can get an idea of this and let it resonate with your heart. So just first, just taking a nice deep breath in through the nose and exhale through the mouth and just release. Let the day go. Let it fall off your fingers. Let it fall off your toes. Another breath in and just let it go, and know that we are all in a safe place and all is well. And I'm going to begin with a little dedication. This was the meditation card that I pulled a little while ago for everyone for this class, and it is love, which fits right in with the heart that we're going to be talking about tonight. Heart and love, vibrations of pure liquid love. Love's purpose is to help you connect with and restore the unconditional love within your daily life. I invite you to gently release all blockages to love and be the full love and light of your spiritual self within your physical body. Love is the energy of creation. Pure, unconditional love is love without judgment. Love which allows you to be who you choose to be. At this time of awakening and transformation, you have the opportunity to be empowered by the purest love of creation. So thank you, thank you, thank you, love. So now I'm going to share my screen then, Catherine, so here we go.
Great, Gail, that looks good.
Okay, perfect. So we'll get started. This is the second of 3 classes. And tonight we are going to work with the rhythm of wood and fire. Okay. And again, a little bit of information, my website, my phone number. If you have any questions, you need to contact me for anything, please do so. Also, I do distance energy sessions. Personal in-person sessions are going to resume, and I'm thinking probably in August. And the restrictions are being lifted from Minnesota for us to be able to start having people coming back into our businesses. However, they're not quite all on board with everything just yet. And by the time they get on board with it a little bit better, I will have a new bionic knee. So I won't be having people at the home until I've recovered enough to be able to stand up to do a session. So I will be doing distance sessions for most of the summer. And I'm more than happy to do them. I do not have any stress with my leg with that. So by all means, if you feel you require any kind of a session, please let me know. I do integrate the energy medicine work that I use, the high frequency energy, the quantum energy, shamanic energy, all into the energy sessions that I do by distance. So it's just as effective as if you were in person. Everyone gives me feedback, how they feel. Sometimes the energy is shifting, how they feel so much better immediately. So it does work quite effectively if you're wondering about it. And if you have questions about that kind of a session, please let me know. Okay, so use your chat box for any questions that pop up, and Catherine will shoot those to me because I can't even see them. And healing with joy tonight is listening to our heart. And when that comes to the heart, you see the little tiny heart at the bottom, and the heart whispers to us. And we want to increase the volume of our heart so that we can hear the heart a little bit more. And in order to increase that volume fully to hear it, we have to turn down the volume of the ego and silence this little brain we have up here to just be a little bit quieter and not shout like the little 2-year-old that it is. And then we can hear those heart messages. I'm going to do a little review, first of all, just of the 5 rhythms. So the 5 rhythms is one of the 9 energy systems that we have. Each rhythm, there's water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. Each one of them are connected to a season. Water is winter, wood is spring, which we're in right now. Fire is summer, earth is Indian summer or solstice, equinox, and metal is autumn or fall. In addition to that, each one of the rhythms are have meridians connected to them. The meridians are the energy highways that run from our body from different places to the organs in the systems that they govern. So each rhythm has the meridians attached to it. So you can see that water has kidney and bladder, which makes sense, right? Mother Nature's pretty smart. Wood, what we're going to talk about tonight, is gallbladder and liver. And fire has 4 meridians attached to it. It has small intestine, triple warmer, heart, and circulation sex. Now, triple warmer and circulation sex don't really go to an organ. They govern systems. Triple warmer governs the fight, flight, and freeze response and everything else in the body. And the circulation sex is about circulation and hormones. And they all work together there in the fire. Then in the earth element is stomach and spleen. And then in the metal is lung and large intestine. Just as a review of the balanced emotions, water is about hope and courage, belief in the thrill of possibility and the creativity that comes forward with that and the excitement and the joy of making something new happen in your life. Wood is assertiveness and getting things done and having kindness towards yourself and generosity of spirit. Fire is about passion and joy, peace and the thrill of loving and having just a really good time. Always fun to be in a fire mode because it's always laughter and joy. Earth is compassion for ourselves as well as others, but primarily for us first. And then caring and sympathy. I really like the word empathy in place of sympathy, but you'll see sympathy mentioned through the literature a lot more than just empathy is. And then metal is about inspiration, awe, looking at the world in awe and in satisfaction with what you're doing in your life. Then the energetic unbalancing that we all experience occurs with stress of any type, and I do mean any type. And there's a few things here that I'm going to mention with each class because I really want to drive these points home so we truly understand how important it is to avoid stress. With every bit of consciousness that we can pull together to avoid stress. And things that are stressful, birthdays, holidays, weddings, retirements, births, and vacations. Even though they're positive things in our lives, they're still very stressful because there's a lot of details that go into making these things happen. Other things are like accidents, work, the weather out here with it is like pitch black out there now. And I hope no one has any problems. We'll put that intention out there. Environmental things like what we're experiencing right now with the pandemic, and then relationship issues are stressful at all levels, whether it be a father, a sister, a child, a spouse, or a partner, or work relationships. And then the emotions that we experience in the 5 rhythms is fear, basically fear, anger, anxiousness, worry, and grief. One thing I want to just clarify about emotions is we have each one of these emotions assigned basically to one of the rhythms that we're going to be talking about. But I'm going to take it to a little bit broader spectrum for you so you can put it into another basket. And everything that is an emotion that's not linked to love is fear-based. So whether it's anger, anxious, panic attacks, overcompassion, uncontrolled grief, sorrow, sadness, those are all fear-based emotions. And so putting it into two categories, it's either love or it's fear-based, makes it a lot easier to not worry about where does this fit in a category of rhythms, okay? Because on the big scale, it's either love or it's not. And that's where these all fall in. Okay, so again, just want to remind you about questions, put them in your chat box. Unbalanced rhythm emotions. So we're going to talk about wood first, and this is about anger, frustration, impatience, and irritation. Wood, the mighty redwood. Just feel her energy and the strength and the support and the ability to come out over and above things, to give support and nourish other things with such strength and resilience. And it sways in the wind, but it doesn't fall down. It's designed to give us that resilience. It's designed to have the courage and just the tenacity to sink its roots deep into the earth so that it can grow and be a structure that's going to support us. So imbalanced emotions in wood is assertiveness. And there is a difference between assertiveness and aggressiveness. Assertiveness has a positive swing to it in that you are always looking out for how you bring yourself across to another person with assertiveness, but you still make your point known. And in aggressiveness, you just really don't care what you say to another person when you want to make your point known. You just might say, well, you crazy fool, it's this way. And to say it in an assertive way, you'd say, well, you know, we think about trying it in this direction and see if we get better results. That's a more assertive way to handle things. Doing it with confidence. And when you have assertiveness, you have that confidence. And that comes forward with wood and how we can get things done. And I'm a wood. My primary element is wood. So it's short and sweet and to the point. There's not a lot of fluff. There's not a lot of explanations. And sometimes I jump to the end of the sentence without even reading in the middle. And then I miss some things. So I have to be careful with that, short and sweet and to the point. Efficiency is also another really good, strong quality of people who are balanced woods. Competitive, not to the point of knocking over your person next to you and giving them a black eye because you wanted them out of the way, because you wanted that point, but to always be competitive. And that means to excel at what you do, bring in your passion and be the best that you can possibly be, and looking at new avenues to keep that competitive edge, to be on top of things and always studying and advancing your knowledge. There's that competitive edge there. Like what we're doing here with our education tonight. You're being competitive with that. You're letting go of complacency. And there's excitement with new goals. And it's always fun to have new goals coming forward as it stimulates us in new directions. Kindness towards ourselves. Very important that we give ourselves the praise and the kindness and the love that we deserve, and also towards others. And then our generosity of our spirit. And unbalanced wood. This just sums it all up so nicely. Excuse me. Anger is only one letter short of danger. And how true is that? When you know people are getting angry and you can just see the pressure cooker coming up and you just don't know what they're going to do, if they're going to, you know, sometimes break something, hit something, try to hit you or someone else. There's always that bit of element there that's a dangerous thing when anger is there, because we lose all rational thought. And I'll tell you why. When the stress hits, and I'm sorry, I think I got a gnat in my throat. When the stress hits us and we go into anger because of what just took place, all of the blood that was in our forebrain that kept us rational and thinking suddenly goes to the back of our brain, to the reptilian brain, and we go into the fight-flight mode, and all we know is to survive. No matter what we've got to do is to survive. And through that anger, excuse me, through that, the anger mounts more and more and more. So I guess I'm not supposed to talk about anger. It's blocking in my second chakra here. Excuse me. Little lesson in when you're joking, trying to speak. I think about, this is a hard topic for me to talk about, anger, because I don't like anger for myself. So I think I may be reflecting some of that. So we lose the front blood flow to the brain, and it all goes to the back. And all we're trying to do is to survive, survive, survive. And I love this saying here that says, anger is our natural defense against pain. So when I say I hate you, it really means you hurt me. And that's what all of the unbalanced emotions are about, is that the pain of personal insult is present. And we've been hurt to a level so deep that we come out into the anger, or we come out into the fear, or we come out into the anxiety that we'll talk about in a little bit. So it depends on what our primary response is to our stress. So as we talk about these tonight and next week, think about this as you go through your week. When you come against a stressful time, how is it that you are responding to it? What emotion is being evoked by the stress? And that will give you an idea of what your primary rhythm element is. And that's a process. It's not something you just like check off on a sheet and say, oh, that's me. We have all of these emotions that go through our bodies all the time, and we fluctuate between them from balanced to unbalanced through all of the rhythms. So that's who we are. But we have one primary element, one primary rhythm that we default to when we get under that stress. And so when me as a wood gets stressed, anger used to be my most favorite friend. And I never got out of anger for about, I don't know, maybe 40 years. I was stuck in anger, never knew why. I was angry about everything until I started learning about my own energies. So we default to that. And it's not a bad thing. It's just what we do because we're people. Okay, next is, anybody recognize the flowers in the middle? Impatience. Wood energy, when they're stressed, are impatient. They want it yesterday, they want it now. There's no excuses for it. Now, 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 now. I'm not going to wait one more minute to have something come to my desk or to be manifested. I want to get it right away. So frustration, impatience, anger. Where did my other slide go? There it is. There's my frustration. Even children, thinking about looking at kids and how they respond when they get stressed. Frustration hits them a lot because they don't know what to do. Especially kids just don't know what to do with their feelings and their emotions because they don't have words for it. So they just act out. And a lot of adults don't have words for it either, and they just act out as well. Okay, and then we have over-competitive. Now remember, this is with the stress response. Irritated, annoyed. And I love the husky. It's just like, if you pull my tail one more time, I'm going to snap your leg. It's sort of a look on his face. I just love it. But yet there's a peace and a grace to it. He's giving you a warning. So in irritation, there's always a little bit of a warning involved before they strike. So we have a bit of a grace period there. This young woman who is saying, stop, I can't take anymore. She's putting her hand right on her forehead, which is where the main neurovascular points are on our forehead, to help us calm from overexcited emotions, from the stress response. And we do this all the time, not even knowing that we're doing it. It's just an automatic reflex, like no more. But if you hold your hand there for just about a minute to 4 minutes to 5 minutes, or until your unbalanced emotion feeling goes away, you're going to be in really good shape. So this is one of the tools, and I believe we talked about it last week as well. But you can just hold just the forehead too and get results in relieving the stress. And now we have the rhythm of fire, which is summer. And I thought so appropriate to put a snowman, being from Minnesota, and we had snow and a snowman in my front yard about a month ago. So even though this is sand on the beach, it just made my heart have some fun. So I hope you enjoy. You go to the beach, make a snow woman, a snowman, and have fun with that. The rhythm of fire. And this is panic, hysteria, anxiety issues. So here we see panic, panic, panic. You know, stress just triggers this emotion to overcome us, and we don't know what to do with it. We don't see a solution to anything, and we just absolutely lose it and go right into a panic attack. There's no building up to it. It goes from 0 to full blast in like bang, that quick. So this can be your first response. You may not even get through any little bit of jitteries or anxiety. It just might trigger right into panic. People who suffer with panic disorder, anxiety disorders, really go into this panic mode very quickly. And it's devastating because it completely stops you from functioning. And here's your hysteria. Those of you who are in my age group, Def Leppard, way back when, the album Hysteria, how the music triggers the hysteria in people, and it's why I never really listened to it very much, because it drove me crazy. It was too much and too intense, and I started feeling this ungluing. I never really was a Def Leppard fan. My children were. The eyes, you can see in the eyes that there's just a dead stare of like blankness, and nobody's home, but yet there's fear there. You can see that fear, you can see that panic, that anxiety, that look of like, what am I supposed to do with this emotion now? All right. So the anxiety. When we have anxiety as our first response to a situation, we just feel like that whole world is just putting everything right down upon us. Everything in the world is coming down on us. There's no escaping it. And we can't outrun it. We can't hide from it. And it just keeps coming from all angles. It never stops. And that's when this cycle just keeps going and going and going. So if you're stuck in any of the undesirable emotions, it's the stress event that triggers these for us. And this is, again, triple warmer that initiates the fight-flight response. So what happens with this is triple warmer is designed to protect us from losing our life, but it doesn't know that a lesser stress is not going to take our life, but he still is activated and he doesn't know how to shut off. And every time he gets activated, he might get a little bit stronger and stronger because there are pathways that get developed each time you go into the fight, flight, freeze mode. When that blood leaves your forebrain and it goes to the hindbrain back here, it creates a pathway from the hypothalamus area. Instead of going forward to the brain to get rational thought and response out of you, it goes directly to the back brain. And each time that that emotion, that thought goes to the back brain, it creates a new pathway. And so pathway after pathway after pathway of energy movement is being created from the middle of the brain, the hypothalamus area, to the hindbrain. And the few pathways that are going to the front are maybe 4 or 5 compared to 50, okay, with the way that the trigger of the stress response happens. So this is why we want to catch stress when it first gets started and then start working on how to reverse these processes so you don't just automatically default into a stress response. Repeated stress events and threats create these pathways backwards, and that's why it's so hard for us to get into a positive state of mind again. Energy flows throughout our whole body, not just from the middle of the brain to the back of the brain. The whole body's affected by this, so they can be reduced, they can be blocked, and they can be redirected, and that would be redirected with that response of the stress. So Catherine, are there questions that anyone has asked?
I don't have any in the chat box right now, but can I ask you a question?
Absolutely, anyone can ask a question. Yeah.
I don't mean to be too literal with what you're saying, but I'm interested in how, are you at all asking us to become involved with the element itself when we have those stress responses, in terms of if I'm a wood and I know my primary element go-to is wood, is that in order to start forming those new neural pathways and to stay conscious each time that stress response happens, is it actually getting out, taking a walk? What is it about wood that makes this particular, the anger associated with wood? What do I need to do to be able to, or do they not have a lot of connection, or do I need to go and be in nature when I'm angry? How is it connected together with the stress response, and how to form that new neural pathway as I try to stay conscious each time that new thing happens?
Okay, so I'm going to take you back through the 5 rhythms. So we each have one of those 5 rhythms is our primary rhythm. Okay.
Okay.
I'm wood. How do I know that? From a bazillion different ways of figuring it out. Also, I know that when I get stressed, my first go-to is anger. Okay, so that's the emotion primarily associated with out of balance wood. Each of them, last week it was water, and water is fear. So if you get fearful when you get stressed, then you are most likely in the primary of the water element as your primary. But it's not only that. There's a couple of different ways to figure this out. And it's not just all or nothing all the time, because you will experience all of these rhythms and the unbalanced emotions at certain points in time. So it's difficult to just say you're wood, you're water, you're earth, you're metal. You can't just automatically do that, but you can count on if you default into that unbalanced emotion of anger, you're most likely wood. If you do it in fear, you're most likely water. And with anxiety or panic, you're most likely fire. So how do you create new neural pathways? And that is to help to calm that stress response. And I'll show you some ways to do that. And being aware when it starts where you're at. If you can identify that, oh my gosh, I'm angry, I need to time it out, right?
Right.
So becoming conscious about where you're at with your emotions when you're stressed. That's the hardest part, because remember, the blood from the forebrain leaves with the stress response. It goes to the hindbrain. So all rational thought is gone. So being able to catch the moment before you lose all rational thought from the front is important, recognizing where you're at and where you're headed, because once you get into it, you could be like lost in this emotion for a long time. I mean, how many of us have held a grudge for 5 days? I mean, I used to all the time. That was nothing for me to hold a grudge for 5 days. And I didn't even know I was doing it. I just knew I was grumpy and angry and I didn't want to talk to that person anymore. So it's early detection is early fix.
So there's an actual physical thing that happens to you when it's triggered and the blood rushes from the front to the back. I mean, it's an actual, it's not just an emotion or a feeling, it's an actual physical thing that happens in your body that is also hard to fight a little bit.
There is an actual physiological response to the stress, because when triple warmer kicks in and it initiates the fight, flight, freeze, there's about 300 different processes that go on within the body through chemical exchange, chemical release, blood pressure changes, eye dilations, respirations change, heart rate changes, chemicals and hormones change, steroid levels go up, blood sugars go up. All of these things are part of that at a very deep cellular level. And this is the stress response. And when all of those things start kicking in, that's when the blood starts to leave this forebrain and going to the posterior brain. All right, and this is well documented by MRI, CT scans, PET scans, monitoring patients in every possible physiological way to see what are the vital signs, what are the chemical changes, what are the cellular changes, so on the physical level. So indeed, a physical thing is going on. And that physical switch also affects our energy patterns. So they like hit almost instantaneously. Like out of those 300 reactions that happen, over half of them happen like that instantaneously, all at the same time. There's not even a stepwise fashion for them. It just hits. So the energies are also greatly impacted at the same time. So not only do you have physiological changes of blood being shunted from the arteries to the back of the brain where it doesn't do us any good, you have energies that are getting shut down also. So the energies aren't getting through either to help. So this is why when you hold the neurovascular points, you are restoring the blood flow to the front of the brain. Neurovascular, nervous system, blood vessel system. That's what that means, neurovascular. And these points are right here in the surface of the skin, and they're very powerful. So we hold these are the main neurovascular points. And it starts to reverse the blood flow from being in the back and bringing it to the front of the brain again and dilating those blood vessels. And now the brain is getting the blood flow back into it, and you can start to think rationally again. And the stress response starts to be recognized for what it is, and you can get out of it.
Thank you. That's great.
Little anatomy physiology right along with energy physiology. You can't have one without the other. They're together.
Right.
Good question.
Thank you.
Welcome. So in our challenging times, and I'm going to say this every time, you have the power to change. You need to own your own power and remember you have choice. Your choice may be difficult at first, but never give up. And this little picture of this froggy getting swallowed up by whatever this bird is, I don't know what it is, a heron maybe? I had this picture on my desk ever since 1977 when I first entered into nursing school. And I kept that on my desk, and I've had it my whole entire career, never give up, and I never forgot. I was never going to let go of that crazy bird's throat because I wasn't going to go down. I kept pulling in there, so I'm encouraging you to do the same thing. Never, never, never give up. Think of this little froggy every time. She survived. Okay. So now restoring the balanced emotions. And the most important thing is we have to breathe. Because what we do when we get stressed is we hold our breath. We just stop breathing. If we're in pain, we're stressed, we're scared, we just stop breathing. And it's really important to breathe because we have to have oxygen in our body and in our brain. And for what little blood's going through the brain in the stress moment, we certainly don't want it to be deprived of more oxygen. So breathing, very important. Inhaling through your nose and out through the mouth makes connections with the meridians in the back of the throat. And it also gives us a lot of good energy that I don't want to confuse you with more than that. Lots of good energy there. It helps us relax. You know, when you just take a big sigh and just, you can just feel it just leave. And when someone comes up to you and says, just take a deep breath because you forgot to breathe, and you do that, you can just feel that stress just melting and dripping right off of your body. It also helps to reduce the stress response. It starts to slow it down. And you can always put a visualization in there if you choose to. Because the more we can do to reverse the stressful response and to bring in the best energy that we can, the better we are. So if you want to add in something beautiful with your deep breath, a flower or an image of one of your loved ones, do so. I always add my heart. And when I take in my deep breaths, I physically place my hand on my heart, because it's also bringing the consciousness of me doing that. It's connecting me directly to my heart. And then I've got this circuit going now with the heart energy and my breathing. Okay, and that really makes it nice. Connecting the navel and the third eye chakra. This is a great way to help reduce the stress response, regardless of what your response is. It takes that excess state and puts it into a lot more balanced movement, and it reconnects the top half, the lower half, and it works with the nervous system. So it's so simple. Middle finger to between the eyebrows, this is the third eye, and then the other middle finger into the navel, and you just hook it up and press in and take a couple, 2-3 deep breaths. So go ahead and do this now and just see how this feels, to release some of that stress for your day of trying to get done with what you were doing so you could come and join this session. Very, very powerful. Very simple, but very powerful. Use it as much as possible. It's part of the daily energy routine that you have. You'll have that handout given to you with, or you may have already had it mailed out to you, but it's in the daily energy routine. Really, really powerful. good with the nervous system. So if you're working with the nervous system, we're restoring more blood flow to the front of the brain also when we stimulate. Then we have the 4 thumps. That's on the daily energy routine as well. The 4 thumps helps you get grounded. So let's go through them. And the first one is right under the cheekbones. This is the grounding thump. This energy travels through the stomach meridian, which covers the entire body all the way down and out that second toe of your feet. So it stimulates you to get grounded. It also helps this meridian to calm down a little bit because the stomach meridian gets overexcited a real lot when there's stress involved. Then you're going to thump right below the collarbone on either side of the sternum, about an inch below, and that's the K27. And this is for the kidney. It's the 27th point on the kidney meridian. And it comes up from the bottom of the feet, straight up the whole body. And once it hits here and you're thumping it, you're shaking loose those lymphatics, and then that energy goes to all the cells in the entire body. The kidney meridian is very powerful. Then you have the sternum, which is the thymus gland, right in the center of the chest, between the breasts. This is stimulating blood flow through your thymus gland, which is your immune system. It's releasing all your B cells, T cells, helper cells, and sending them around to the areas that need it because of the stress that's going on. And then tapping the ribs right underneath the breast. You can tap right under there, and along the side of the chest, right at the bottom of the ribs. This is the spleen, and the spleen meridian also is a very powerful meridian. It travels from here all the way up and down off the big toe. And it is responsible for metabolizing everything, metabolizing the emotions that we're feeling and experiencing, and for our immune system. Grounding. Walk in the grass with bare feet. Connect to the Earth Star chakra. This sits 18 to 24 inches beneath your feet. So mentally connect to that and bring that energy up into the bottom of your feet, right in the bottom of the ball of your feet. That's where the kidney meridian comes into the feet. Okay, and then bring that earth energy up all the way through all your chakras, all the way up your body and out the crown, out to that universe, and then allow it to come back down through the feet, back into the ground. So we have a cycle of energy. I showed this, I think, last week. I'm going to show this again. We are a fountain of energies. This is Alex Gray's picture that he's drawn with our energy out through us. So we want this fountain, and it comes in through the feet and up out through the crown, and it just loops all the way down around us, and it just continues. It's a continual loop. So we want that. Open those energy pathways between the bones of your feet, the metatarsals. Just as if this was my foot, you're going to go between the bones of the feet, rub and press really deep between them, and pull that energy off your toes, and then use your fabulous spoon on the bottom of your feet and rub it, and that gets you nice and grounded. Lots of beautiful ways to get grounded. And then you can always do these things even by thought. If you're not able to get outside, you can always do it by thought. And even if you're on the 9th floor, you can still get your feet down into that Earth Star chakra. When you go to that Earth Star chakra, think of your most favorite crystal, your most favorite element of the earth, and pull that right up forward to your feet and let your feet stand on that. Then we have Mellow Mudra. This is so powerful for removing fear, anger, anxiety, panic attacks. Very simply, index finger and thumb go together. They go to the temples, and then you just lay your fingers across the forehead. And again, we're on these neurovascular points. So what we're doing is we're restoring the blood flow to the brain. We're also using these 2 meridian fingers, which is about letting go. And we're putting them right on the temples, which is where the end of that triple warmer meridian is. So we're working with triple warmer to release us from that hold of the stress response, while we're stimulating physiological changes and energetic changes to get us out of that stress mode. this is a fabulous, fabulous thing to do. And even if you do this for 30 seconds, oh my, it feels so good. And just doing it periodically through the day for a couple of seconds, well, it's like whoosh, you can just feel this stuff just leaving your body. And I do it when I think I'm not stressed and I still feel energy leaving my body that needs to be gone. And I'm like, whoa, I guess I really needed to do that. So it's not just when you're stressed. So use it as much as you can to keep your balance. It's about keeping balance and not just treating it when it gets bad. So tracing triple warmer meridian backwards, again, starting at the temples where the end of that meridian is, you trace behind the ear, okay, and you go down your neck and your shoulder, on the outside of the arm, the back of the hand, and off the ring finger. And you do that on both sides. And as you're sitting at work or anywhere, you see people going like this all the time, you know, hands behind the ears, fingers, and they're calming that triple warmer meridian without even realizing it. So if this is all you can manage, that's still very effective, because this section of triple warmer meridian has the most reactive part to it for calming. So, but I always like to go all the way off the finger. I can just feel that energy just calming. Just don't do it when you're driving, because it could make you a little too calm. So any questions?
We do have a question, Gail. How does the stainless steel spoon work energetically to get energy down to the feet and ground?
Okay, so the spoon, there's two answers to this. The spoon, I like to use a spoon that sticks to a little magnet. Where's my magnet? There we go. Oh, there. Okay, so I have this little tiny little magnet, right? It's only an inch wide, and it sticks to the spoon. So that means that the metal within this spoon is going to work with the polarities in my body, the electromagnetic energy of the polarities, the north-south magnetic pole, because we are nothing but electromagnetic being. So this spoon is going to change those electromagnetic energies of the bottom of the feet, and it's going to travel through the whole body, and it's going to get me grounded, because when it doesn't have the right pull, we can't stick to the earth, right? We need to have our south side of our feet stuck to the earth, and if everything down here has a negative charge to it, you're going to repel. So you want the positive charge, so you want to be able to stick. So that's what the spoon does, is it changes the electromagnetic energy of the feet. Right? Now, there are alloys that they're making spoons with these days that don't stick to metal, stick to a magnet, that will still do the reversal of the electromagnetics. But I don't know what they are. They're just different combinations of stuff. So I still go back to the little magnet and the spoon, and anything that's, you know, a little bit of an older spoon, it'll stick. And that's how it works. It's through the polarities, electromagnetics of negative, positive, north, south. So we want to stick to the south end of things. I hope that answered your question.
Okay, and Gail, when you talk about that you can feel when you were doing the meridian behind your ear and out the end of your fingers, when you say that you can feel that energy, can you speak to that? What do you mean when you say you can feel? What does it feel like?
Everybody is different in how they sense their own energies. Not everybody feels energy movement, and that's okay. You don't have to feel it to get it to move. It will always move if you're pushing it in the right, you know, pushing it along. So what I feel is, let's just say I'm holding tension in my shoulders, and as I do this and I get down here, I start feeling a little tingling coming down my arm right along this meridian, and when I get it to my hand, I just feel it zap off, and all of a sudden the tension in my shoulders is gone. So I feel little tinglies.
Okay.
And some people may feel a heat coming off. Some folks may feel a tickle. Some may feel like a electrical zap as it goes through there. Everyone's a little different. Some folks they just feel, oh, I just feel relaxed. It's all different.
So does it take a little while to develop the ability to feel that, or is it kind of like we talked a little bit last time of how connected you might be to your body, to be able to feel those things and to be able to listen? You know, you were talking about last time how we used to listen to our bodies more, and I was thinking as you were speaking more about people with chronic health issues and being able to listen to their bodies, and maybe that's not so much a question, but just does it, you know, it seems like we might be a little shut off from our bodies. Does it take a while to rebuild that muscle, or can people be practicing that in order to become more connected?
Yeah, we are shut off from paying attention to our bodies. That's what the life in this world has done for us. And we unfortunately have allowed that because we didn't have knowledge to not do that. So we stop listening to the body because it's all the scatter chatter, zzz, the little hamster going. And we can't hear the subtle energy speak to us that's going on in the body, just like we can't hear those little heart whispers because of all the noise. So being aware and bringing your consciousness to your body, to asking it, how am I feeling? How do I feel right now before I do this? So I know I'm going to say I feel really tense in my shoulders, and I feel anxious and frustrated at a level 3. So I'm going to trace triple warmer backwards a couple times on each side of my body, and I'm just going to listen to how does it feel? What am I feeling? What am I experiencing? I may not feel anything in my arms. I may just notice, oh, I just feel better. And that's perfect. There's no right or wrong. There's no yes or no in this, but it's how do you feel and how has that sensation changed in your body? The more you work with your own energies, the more you will sense. And the more you will notice when energy starts to move through a different pathway. There's still people who have worked with energies for years and years and years and years that don't feel the energy movement, and that's perfectly okay. That just means they're not kinesthetic. Maybe they see it moving because they're visual. Maybe they hear it moving because they're auditory. Maybe they smell it. There's many different ways. Maybe they can taste it moving. I can remember sitting in my office at working night shift and working, and all of a sudden I started tasting this funny taste, this funny energy, and I'm like, what is this? And then I realized I was tasting blood, and I didn't bite my tongue, so I had no blood in my mouth. And then I realized there was energy moving around that was surrounding it, and someone was dying, and I could sense that through tasting the blood. So anytime I taste blood, someone I know that I was taking care of was dying. That was just me, but that's how I sensed it. But everybody is different, and some people have none of that, and that's perfectly okay. And your goal is not to be able to feel that movement. The goal is to feel the outcome of relaxation from the movement of the energy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So don't beat yourself up if you don't feel it. That's quite all right. So let's restore some balance to wood. And here's those neurovascular points. These are specifically for wood. You have the 2 main neurovascular points here on the forehead, just like you did with the fear from last time. We're always going to use these 2 frontal neurovascular points because this is what's going to really put that blood flow back into the forebrain. And now when we have the element of wood and the rhythm of wood, and we have anger or frustration, we're going to place our finger next to the eye is the point for this. This is the neurovascular point for that. So you'll place your thumbs on the sides of your head or your eyes, and then your other fingers you're just going to place on your forehead. So you do it like so. But just one thumb. It's not the Mela Mudra on the temples. It's right at the corner of the eye with your thumb, and then over the main neurovascular points. And I don't feel any anger or frustration, but I certainly just felt an energy shift of relaxation happening to me. So even if you're not in a state of disarray, these are really still beneficial to us. So you hold it for a couple of minutes until the emotion is passed, you're feeling better for however long of a period of time you have. Really powerful, simple, and very, very powerful. Then we have expelling the venom. Now this is going to involve you getting up and doing a little bit of a exercise, and I'm going to take you through this, but I'm just going to talk through it, and then I'm going to show it to you. So you want to be in a private, safe place. This isn't something you're going to do in the middle of an office or in the middle of a grocery store, because this is a personal expelling of the venom. The anger is the venom. So you're going to unzip the central meridian, and this goes from the bottom of the lower lip straight down the body to the top of the pubic bone, okay? So you're going to unzip that, and this is what you don't want to do in a public area, because this exposes you to vulnerabilities, and the vulnerability we want for ourselves is to open that up so that we can get rid of that anger from inside. And then with your palms in front of you in an upright fashion, you just extend your hands in front of you, and then you place that anger, that frustration into your palms of your hands. And then you inhale and you bring your hands up and around the side of your back. And when you get to the top of your head, okay, then you're going to grab onto that emotion, and then you're going to exhale very forcefully with the sound of shh. Very important you make that sound shh. And as you exhale and you make that sound of shh, then you're going to push your hands down into the earth and open up those hands and let that anger go. And then you're going to do this over and over and over again until that emotion has passed. And it might take 5 or 10 movements to get rid of this anger that's within you. And so what's happening to you as you move your body in this motion, you are bringing up the emotion to the point of being able to be expelled. And it's the sound of the shh that actually forces it out of the body. So that's why the sound is really important. So I'm going to just go through that with you again. I'm going to go over here where I can stand and you might be able to see everything at one time. So, and if you want to do this along with me, please do so. So I have anger, I have frustration, and I need to get rid of it. So I'm going to first do my unzip. And then I'm going to place my hands in front of me, and I'm going to put that anger, frustration in front of me in the hands. And I'm going to take in a breath as I bring my hands around. So inhale through the nose, hands up around. I'm going to get to the top. I'm going to grab that anger, and then I'm going to go shh, and I'm going to push that energy right down into Mother Earth. And I'm going to come back to the neutral point, anger in my hands. I'm going to inhale, grab that anger, and shoo it right into the earth. And I may need to do this 4, 5, 6 times, 10 times, whatever it takes. And then just a little extra part of this that's not on there is on the last time, I think that's good. I'm going to do it one more time. I'm just going to do it really slow. And push that down gently. Okay, then I'm going to re-zip myself back up, and I'm going to reground myself, because all of that emotion stopped me from being grounded. Even though I might have tried to get grounded, it didn't work because of the stress I was under and the excess emotions. So reground, but be certain that you re-zip up. Very powerful, but you do it when you're alone. In the bathroom, at work is a really good place to do it because you got to get rid of it when you're there. You don't want to wait till you get home. Why suffer with it? If you are aware of it, then you can get rid of it. So that is expelling the venom. And this is in Donna Eden's book, also, Energy Medicine, and in Energy Medicine for Women also. So it's in there too. Really strong. Say some affirmations for yourself. I forgive myself. I like myself. I am kind to myself. I let go of judgment and I forgive. And then I feel kind towards blah, blah, blah situation. We hear the fireworks out there now. It's really storming, thunder and lightning here. So give yourself some good, loving affirmations. And you can just walk around all day long and say these things to yourself over and over again. You don't have to wait till you get frustrated, because the more you can prepare yourself to be in a balanced state, the less responsive you're going to be when that stress hits. You'll already be ahead of that game. Now we're going to go into the fire and how we restore balance to fire. Any other questions at this time, Catherine?
I would just had a question here. Someone asks, how is it that you can bring a little bit more understanding between what the energy system seems to be more invisible, whereas the physical body is right here and we can touch it and we can move the energy, but the invisibleness of the energy system, how does that, how are we able to, I guess through the practice then we're able to access that?
I sort of lost the intent of the question. It was,
I guess they mean to be able to bring a pairing between the physical body and the invisibleness of the energy systems.
so how do we bring that together?
Yes, and especially with people who might not be connected to their body and are not able to easily see the benefit of the energy system.
Okay, so in order to do that, it's by experiencing how you feel once you work with the energies, and that's what gives you the trust in it. Even if you don't feel it, you don't see it, or any of those things, but when you do it and you feel the result of what you're doing to calm down that energy system, or to, you know, bring the vitality up. I mean, these 4 thumps, you don't need any more caffeine if you do these 4 thumps. Seriously, it will charge you up. You will feel the energy. You'll feel the vibrations coming up. You'll feel stronger and more alert and awake. So don't do it before you go to bed, because you will have a lot of energy then. So it's about experiencing. And when you experience and you listen and you ask yourself, how do I feel now before I do this? And how do I feel after? And sometimes it takes 3 or 4 times of doing one of these to get enough energy moving through to where you start to really feel, wow, I've got energy now, where I was dragging before. Or I was really upset before and now I'm nice and calm and I feel loving again. Mm-hmm. And my panic attack just stopped, and how nice is that? You know, I didn't need to take my Ativan. And so many times it's so powerful that people don't have to use medications, because the medications don't correct the problem. They just dull our senses to what's going on, right? We have to change the energy in order for that energy to be restored to the body so that it can heal from that excess emotion. So it's practice it, feel it, and then you trust it. I hope that answered your question. If it did not, please ask what didn't get answered out of that? Because that's an important question.
I think it's having the ability to, from what you've just relayed, is the trust factor that you do have. You can trust in your own power to be able to touch back into your body to find the answers yourself.
Yes. And this goes back into reclaiming your power. Your power is there. And it's trusting yourself, because these are the innate energies that have been with us our entire lives, that have gotten pushed to the side, that are now becoming very forefront in the world today, finally. And for those of us who have been doing energy work for a long time, it's like, yay, finally. People are getting it, you know. Other disciplines are understanding it and recommending it, because we have to have the blend, the physical, emotional, spiritual, and energetic.
Great, thank you.
Okay. All right, so now here are the neurovascular points for fire. And again, the main two here, but the other two for the anxiety, panic, hysteria are right on the back of the head at the level of the eyes, okay? Directly behind the eyes. So you'll place one hand back there and the other hand across the forehead, and you breathe in through the nose, exhale through the mouth, and then you just sit with this. And this just calms all of that anxiousness. It stops panic attacks and hysteria. This is a beautiful example of hysteria. One of the beautiful women I worked with, and I've been given permission to talk about this. She had a little baby, about a year and a half old, and this child didn't sleep. Just constantly running, always going. She could never get this kid to go down for a nap, could never get them to go to sleep at night. And she was complaining to me about it during the day. And I said, well, try this. Just hold your hand over the forehead and one over the back of the head, if you're able to. Otherwise, just hold the front of the head. So she picked up her child, because she was running all over the place, 10 o'clock at night, little, year and a half old, would not sleep. And she actually set the child down in front of her so she could put one hand behind her head and the other hand on her forehead. And she just pressed her against her chest. And she held this very lightly, but supportively. And within 2 minutes, that child was sound asleep. So she put her to bed. The next night, same thing. She did the same thing. Held her. 2 minutes, that child was asleep for the night. The third night, she couldn't catch the kid for 5 minutes, because the child knew that she was going to get put to sleep if mom caught her, because she knew she was going to hold her head. So she ran until my friend had to catch her and hog tie her and just hold her head. And she just held on to her, and again, every night went to sleep. And she finally got her out of the pattern of this hysterical behavior at night, of not wanting to sleep. So it's very powerful, very, very powerful. I love that story. The child caught on the third night. She's like, no more of this, Mom. I'm not letting you catch me, but she got caught. So the next thing is going to be an acupressure to reduce the anxiety. And we're going to sedate triple warmer with this. This is a really strong way to do it. The one thing about this is it takes time. 3, 6, 7, 8, about 9, 6, 7 minutes to do all of this, 7 minutes. So I'm going to talk you through this and tell you what we're going to do, and then I'm going to show you how we do it. And I have pictures after I give the explanation. So this is actually working with the meridian itself, okay, that travels. It actually starts at the ring finger and it goes all the way around to the temples of the ear. But when we're calming triple warmer and we're tracing it backwards to take that energy out of the meridian, not tracing it forward. So this meridian is what we're going to work with. And it's a 2-step process. The first part is that you're going to hold a set of points for 3 minutes on each side of the body because we have a meridian on each side. Right? So we're going to hold that first set for 3 minutes, one side and then the other. So there's 6 minutes. All right, so this does take a little time. Then you're going to hold the control points, and those are for 90 seconds on each side of the body. One side, after 90 seconds, you switch to the other. So what's happening here? We're holding an action set and a control set. So the first set of acupoints asks the meridian to just calm down and relax. That's all it does, but you got to do both sides. Otherwise, you got half and half, and then the body doesn't know what to do, and what you try to get it to do will not work. The second set of acupoints asks the meridian to just stay relaxed for a longer period of time. It like locks in the message and closes the door on that loop, and then it's done. And you can repeat this process as much as you need to until your emotion's in balance. You can do it every day. Some people do it every day. Some people do it 2 times a day, depending on where their level of anxiety is at, and where their stress levels are at. You might want to, some people might do it a couple times a day, just depending on how you feel and how does this help you recover and get into balance. So these are pictures of the acupoints. All right, the first acupressure point is at the back of the elbow, okay, right here, right? And the second one is at the bottom of the knee, right on the outside of the leg. So you're gonna, on the same side of the body, now you're gonna do this. You're gonna hold your, let's just say you're gonna start with your right side. It doesn't matter where you start, but we're gonna start with the right side right now. You're gonna just place your hand around the back of that elbow. You don't even need to use one finger. You can put your whole hand there. And then the other hand, the right hand, then is gonna go right to where that knee is at, okay? So you've got one side of your body being held. I can already feel this already working with me. So if you hold these points now, very simply, just placing your hands over it covers the whole point. You don't need to get, this is not acupuncture, this is acupressure, so we can cover that whole area. So after 3 minutes, then you're gonna switch to the other side. So I'm gonna switch hand to that elbow, and that one, I'm gonna put it on my left knee at the side, just below that kneecap there. And I'm gonna hold that for 3 minutes. I really feel that. It just, I mean, you don't even have to think you're stressed to do this and have benefits. Again, I can't say that enough because these are so powerful, and triple warmer governs so many different systems in the body. Then the second set of control points, you're gonna hold right beneath the finger here, like in the picture, on one hand. Then I'm gonna take my left, I'm gonna right hand first, okay? I'm gonna stay with the right hand. I'll try to be consistent. There, and then I'm gonna take my right hand and I'm gonna place it along the side of my baby toe. So I'm gonna grab my toes and hold it. This is tough because this is my thumb knee. But you just hold it on the side of that. So just like that. And you're gonna hold that for 90 seconds. And after that 90 seconds is completed, then you're gonna switch sides. So I'm gonna go to the left hand, left foot, and I'm gonna hold my toes and my hand at the same time. And you know, the great thing about this is you can do this in a meeting, and I have done it in many meetings in the past, because you can work this under the table. Cross your leg, bring your leg right up, do this, sitting like this with your hand on your knee. That's no big deal, you know, it's a comfortable position, just looks like you're sitting there hanging out. So when you start feeling triple warmer go off in your staff meetings or whatever, you can certainly work on yourself. So that's how this works. Any questions about that? Has anybody got any?
Not yet.
Okay, all right. You just follow the pictures and the times, and you do the same side of the body each time, you know. if you're holding the right elbow, you're going to hold the right knee. You don't cross over and do half one side and half the other. And you have to do both of the set ones, okay, the first set, where's my, oh, there it is. You do the first action set on one side of the body, then the other, before you step into doing the control set, because the body won't know what you're doing if you're interrupting the flow of calming. You want to calm both sides of the body before you tell it to hold on to that message.
Gail, I do have a question. Is the hand between pinky and ring finger?
Yes, it's right at the base of that fourth finger, like right there. Yep, right there. That's where that meridian runs, so it goes right there. And if you just put your whole hand over it, you're good to go. You got it covered. But that point is like right before the web.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now there's affirmations for fire. Every breath I take is infusing love into every cell of my being. All I do is filled with love. I listen and support my heart, and I know what I want. I am safe, and I have overcome the problem. Not that I'm going to, I have overcome it. That's positive affirmations. You've already done it. So talking to ourselves, talking to our energies is really important, because our energies are very wise. Our body is very wise. So what we say to our body, it will respond to it. Dr. Masaru Emoto did work with water and words to water. And he spent his whole lifetime proving that what you say to a water molecule will change it. And it does. And you can take a beautiful, pristine water crystal that looks like the most beautiful snowflake you've ever seen. And you can say, I hate you. And it will turn into a crumbling, brown, nasty, awful looking thing that looks like it got dredged through acid. And you can say, I love you to it. And you can restore that back into that beautiful water crystal. And I love this because our bodies are made up from anywhere from 60 to 85% water, depending on what age we are. So with that much water in our cells, if we speak in a positive way and giving good affirmations to our body, we're going to be having those beautiful water crystals, and the energy is going to be able to go right through us, and all the cellular function is going to be great. But if we don't give ourselves those positive affirmations, then we're missing out on that, and we've got the sludge that's going through our bodies in every cell. I mean, how many billions and billions and billions and trillions of cells do we have in our body that are made up of water? So positive affirmations, really powerful for you. Any other questions?
Not right now.
Okay. So stay in your power. Silence your ego and step into your heart. Very, very, very powerful to just step into your heart. And that's the rhythms of wood and fire. And the unbalanced emotions being able to be turned into balanced emotions. The key here, like anything, is before the whole yard catches on fire from the little firecracker that I lit off, I'm going to step on it and put out the fire. So we're going to work with our unbalanced emotions when they start getting triggered. So listen to your body. Know your triggers. try to avoid them if you can. But when the unbalanced emotions begin to come forward, recognize it so that you can take action to put it back into balance and feel good and have a very productive day and a productive life. So next Tuesday, we'll have our third and final class on the challenges of change, and we'll talk about the earth and metal rhythms. And then I'm going to teach you a very simple, basic chakra clearing that is easy to do anytime, anywhere that you're at. You don't have to be any place special. So it's very simple to do. And that just gives us a good, clean center for all of our chakras to be doing their work for us.
Gail, I think I'm going to bring everybody back on to be able to say hello and goodbye. So while I do that, is that okay with you for a moment?
Absolutely, yes, I want to do that, yeah, because I am done for today.
Okay, well, I will work on that here in just a moment.
Yeah, everybody can just sort of like unmute yourself and help Catherine with that. Hi, Kathy. And Elsie.
I think I've got everybody invited there.
Good. Perfect. So I want to thank you all. Oh, there's John. Hi, John. Did you listen in too? I hope you did. Anyone's invited to this. This is for everyone. This is not exclusive by any means. So I'm really happy that you all came, took your time, and since there was nothing we could do outside, it's a perfect time to have a little session. Anyone have any further questions about anything?
I did just want to mention we will send out the handouts, and the video will be on YouTube yet this week. We're almost there. Gail's been very patient with us, but we're almost there. So you can put that in your email.
It's a process, it's a journey, and we do the best we can. We don't get stressed over it, right?
We take it just a little bit at a time.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you, everyone. It was wonderful to see you all and you sharing your life and your energies with me. And again, don't worry about feeling things. Just do the exercise and notice how you feel afterwards. You'll notice the difference. So,
thanks, Gail.
And thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for blessing me. And I'm very grateful for everyone.